There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello, Booktube. Hello, Booktube. I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with another Friday Reads, and I have had a really interesting, pretty positive reading week. So, suddenly, the minute I press record, 2 people walk into the park. I'm not self-conscious. I thought I actually had more than 2, but anyway, it's a respectable number. I have 2 bales to tell you about. Sadly, this one didn't work out. This is Anna Spargo-Ryan's second novel, The Gulf, the gorgeous cover. I quite enjoyed her debut a couple years ago called The Paper House, and this one just didn't cut the mustard. I read 20% or something. Both novels are first-person narratives, but I didn't like the voice in this one. It was a 16-year-old girl. She was kind of from the wrong side of the tracks, poor family, and her worldview was so limited that I just felt completely trapped inside her head, and I wanted another perspective. The narrator of The Paper House, Anna Spargo-Ryan's first novel, was a young adult woman in her late 20s who'd had a miscarriage, and I loved being in her head for an entire novel, but I didn't want to be in this teenage girl who didn't have anything very interesting to say about anything. There was no beautiful sentences, and the first novel was just full of gorgeous sentences that I just wanted to suck on like a gumdrop. And this one, no. So I didn't finish it. Too bad. I will still try another one by Anna Spargo-Ryan based on the strength of her debut. This didn't work for me. I've also bailed on this African novel which I'd been looking forward to reading for a long, long time. Onjaki's Transparent City. Onjaki is an Angolan writer. I read half of it. This was a buddy read with Sharon of Hooked on Books, and I thought the plot was quite interesting. There was a large cast of characters. I trusted that the author was going to carry this rather complicated plot through to some kind of a fruition that would be intellectually satisfying, but at the halfway mark I realized that even though some characters had started to reveal some pretty traumatic things about having lived through the Angolan War, I didn't feel anything about any of the characters, and that's always a sign to me that it's not a Sean book and there's no point in finishing. But for you, those of you that don't care as much as I do about having some sort of an emotional connection to what you read, but can appreciate a kind of an acrobatic plot, you should try it. I will try not his next one, but the one after that, because I think he could be a writer for me once he develops or once I change as a reader, but this didn't quite get me there to want to bother to finish. So those are my bales. I have finished 4 books, so I've had a lot of things finished. I didn't bring the little book, I didn't think to. The Faber Stories book, A River in Egypt by David Means. Didn't like it at all. You can check out Doris's and my discussion. Neither one of us were taken with it at all. So enough said about that. But this is the reading achievement. It's not the best read of the year, but this will end up being one of my reading achievements of 2019, if not the 20-teens period. Britta and I finished our 6-week buddy read of The Tale of Genji. I didn't end up reading the paper copy because it was just too cumbersome. I did it on ebook. But wow. So I didn't like it very much. It was a 3-star read. It's rare for me to finish a book that I'm not enjoying. The things that I enjoyed, I really enjoyed, I loved, but there's so much of it I didn't like at all. So if you don't know, this is the first novel, and it's inarguable, so all Western literary critics who poo-poo the idea are full of shit. This is the first novel. Japan was centuries ahead of Western literature in terms of being able to come up with a really psychologically astute portrayal of characters in a novel. This is it. I felt for much of it that, like Eric Carl Anderson did doing that buddy read-along that Adam had, what was that, 14th century? the Decameron, I think it was. This is just so full of the most misogynistic bullshit, and I couldn't get past it. If I take a step back, this is a female writer, Murasaki Shikibu. That's just, nobody knows what her real name was. Really, it's a portrayal of the effect of this misogynistic bullshit system, which is still largely with us today, but was particularly horrible 1,000 years ago, on the women characters. She does show that. And there are some moments, even when the men are talking, that I thought could be read in a feminist way, but for the most part, this is patriarchal nonsense, and if that kind of thing bothers you, don't even try it. It's just ridiculous. It's rapey and abduction and all this nonsense. To the degree that I was ever able to separate that crap from the erotic undertones of the story, Genji is a hottie. Nobody can stop talking about how hot he is throughout the whole book, and that kind of worked for me. I kind of kept projecting my images of all the most beautiful Japanese men I've ever seen onto him, and that was interesting. But he was also just a dickhead, and it's sad that this is the center of the world literature and Japanese literature when it's about such a fucking jerk of a guy and all his asshole friends. But the psychological perception is amazing. It's sometimes playful and funny. The cast of characters is immense, and that was also a big headache, just a real pain. The characters are not named, they're only referred to by their titles, and their titles are always shifting. I would suggest maybe trying, if I ever reread it, and I'm sure I won't because I'm not that much of a sucker for punishment, I might try the Seidensticker translation rather than this one by Royale Tyler, because Seidensticker just made the decision to use the characters' names throughout. So he radically altered the Japanese text in order to make it more readable, and so I might suggest that one over this one. This is a beautiful translation. It's very modern English. Another thing that I really appreciated was the light that this shed on Japanese culture. So to the degree to which I sound negative about this, to the degree that I'm quite negative about Japanese culture, but there were things that could really connect to present-day Japanese realities, and that was fascinating. I won't go off on a tangent about that because I'm already gone on too long, but yeah, I read it. It was a delightful buddy read with Britta. I didn't waste my time. I almost hated it. But, Asian Readathon people, much more positively, I started and finished this book this week, Yoko Ogawa's The Housekeeper and the Professor. This was a buddy read with Jacqueline of 6 Minutes for Me. I absolutely loved it. We both did. We both have reviews on our channels. I'll link both of them below. That's enough said. This was just an absolute delight. And at long last, I finished the audiobook of Amor Towles' novel, The Rules of Civility. It was a long audiobook. I enjoyed it very much. I almost loved it, and I am now a big Amor Towles fan. It dragged in the middle, and I thought that it went on too long. The opening premise was the main character is a young woman in New York, and she befriends another woman who comes from a rich family, and then they befriend a man who's even richer. And it's the story of this kind of, it's not a literal threesome, but they all become pals, and their lives are entangled in 1938 Manhattan. Catherine Content is the protagonist. I think her first name's Catherine Content. The other two disappear after about the first third of the novel for large, immense chunks of the story, and Catherine Content fills up her life with jobs and other relationships and friendships, but none of that was as compelling as the trio, and it's all kind of tied up at the end quite beautifully. The ending was just powerful. The writing was gorgeous. I just felt it kind of lost its focus for about the middle, almost half of the book. But I could only take 1 star off because I was still turning the pages figuratively. I'm still really enjoying everything, but that original scenario got kind of lost for a long time, and I was disappointed by that. But Amor Towles is an amazing writer, a prose stylist, and many people have said his other one, is that his first one? Something about Moscow? I can't remember what it is, but I'm definitely going to read it. And the audiobook narrator was wonderful. I'll put the audio narrator's name in the show notes as well, because it was a real delight to listen to her. She could read the phone book to me and I'd be enraptured. So yeah, quite a big success, and I am now in the Amor Towles camp. So those are what I finished. I've now kind of blanked on whether I had just started this barely last Friday or not, but I have started this, That Long Silence by Shashi Deshpande. Now I'm a long chapter, a 40-page chapter in, and really enjoying it, actually. Yeah, it's not sure but that the prose is all that wonderful, but the storytelling is has sucked me in quite a bit already, so it's starting out good. And I have now read the first two stories of this collection of short stories by a Thai-American writer, Sightseeing by Radawut Lapcharoensap. I'm enjoying them. I don't think they're the most wonderful short stories that have ever been written, but that's solely Alice Munro or Mavis Gallant, so I'm always comparing all other short stories to them, and all other short stories fall short. But these are good. The first two are set in Thailand, with Thai protagonists, and it's usually about interactions between Westerners and the Thai protagonists, and they're good. I will continue. And I started this yesterday, and boy, has it ever captured my interest. Tan Tuan Eng's The Garden of Evening Mists, and yeah, the writing is really good. The story has opened in a way that has just captured my interest. Female, it took me about 10 pages to realize it was a female, which shows my own gender bias. A judge has taken early retirement in Malaysia, and it's a female judge, and she's the protagonist. And I don't know if it's permanently or for an extended visit, but she leaves Kuala Lumpur immediately upon her retirement, and it's revealed that she had been a victim and had been maybe tortured in the Japanese prison camps during the Pacific War. And she goes back to another kind of a mountainside place where an important man in her life, a Japanese gardener, had lived. He's now deceased, and she goes back to his garden, and I don't know if she's going to stay there or what, but it's so the interplay between her relationship with him after the war. I don't know if it was romantic, I have no idea. I don't think so, because I think he's gay, and a little bit of tantalizing and rather disturbing flashbacks to what she endured at the hands of the Japanese occupiers in a prison camp earlier than that, and now she's maybe in her early 60s, and she's taken early retirement. I am just fascinated, and the writing is gorgeous. So I have finally gotten to this, and it's starting out really good. I have started on audio the new Susan Choi novel, Trust Exercise. I've just done the first chapter, and I'm not sure about it yet. I think the writing is good. I'm enjoying the adolescent sexuality, I think. I'm just not sure about it yet, so I don't have much to say, but it's short, so I don't know. I know some of my favorite booktubers didn't like it, and one of them bailed, so who knows how things will go, but so far I'm interested. Today I was supposed to start a buddy read with Heidi of My Reading Life. I actually read the first introductory, they're not the chapters, there's a prologue, it's kind of in two sections that I read late last night, of Small Country by Gail Fay. Gail Fay he was born in 1982 in Burundi to a French father and a Rwandan mother, and this story seems to be about the Rwandan genocide. To be honest, it didn't start out good, and so I've already prearranged a possible bail with Heidi. I said, let's read up until the first 4 chapters. They're very short chapters. Check in with each other, and if neither one of us are liking it, we'll bail and read something else. But maybe it'll get better. The first 2-page prologue was really good, and then I don't know what it is. Immediately after is an italicized 4-page continuation of the prologue, and I just hated the writing. It was so angsty, and I mean, how can a story that's centered on the Rwandan genocide be angsty? I mean, and it was just dripping with solipsistic bullshit, and I thought, oh my god, I don't want to continue. But on to chapter 1, read the first 4 chapters, and hopefully, because I've heard very mixed reviews of this, but fingers crossed. So those are the books that I've started. Now, in the coming week, I think I'll finish some of these shorter ones. Well, I think the next one that I'm dying to start is the Welsh novel that Charlotte of Tired Mama Tries to Read recommended to me a long time ago. What is it called? The Heyday in the Blood by Geraint Goodwin, if I'm pronouncing that right. Written about the 1930s, I believe. And it's a short one on Scribd as an ebook. I definitely am dying to get back into a Welsh novel, so I will definitely start that one. Other possibilities, I don't have any other buddy reads starting before I see you again next Friday. 2 others. Next up on the Asian Readathon, TBR, would be this Chinese novel, Three Sisters by Bei Feiyu. Really curious about it. I have been for a long time, so that will be next up for that TBR. And also, just dying to give this one a try, Max Porter's Lanny, second novel just out a few months ago, and I think I'll do it as an audio text combo because the audio narration sounded really good when I previewed it. So yeah, some or all of those 3 will be in progress. I will start in the coming week, I think, all things being equal. I was going to say this right at the beginning, but I've saved it for the end. 2 things. Number 1, there has been a winner for the book cover fragment contest. Congratulations to Alexia Polaski from Buenos Aires in Argentina. She is an English to Spanish translator, and she got all 12. That is just awesome. She tells me she has a photographic memory, so there you go. So that was fabulous. So that contest is now closed, but the other ones are open until, I think, what did I say? Around May 16th, if I remember. Let me double check that. I don't want to give anybody false hope. The other 2 are open until 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 12 noon, Tokyo time, May 16th. The book giveaways and the camera flip is open longer, but there's still time to enter for the book giveaway. No skill testing question required. And please keep your camera flip videos coming. I've got 2 up so far. A few promised to me, and I hope that more will come in. So that's great. Just accidentally clicked on the new videos of my subscribers, and I am going to watch, and you should go check out Supposedly Fun's new video, posted 20 minutes ago, The Best and Worst Mothers in Literature. Read Remark has a review of Golden State by Ben Winters. And Mark Nash has a video called Rehaul. What the hell is that about? Another one from 2 hours ago. Sabrina of Unmanaged Mischief has a dual review of The Pisces by Melissa Broder, which I'm a little bit curious about, but also Sympathy by Olivia Sujic, which I talked about in my debut video, please don't go watch it, that I had loved passionately except for one thing that I hated. So I'm going to be very curious to see what she had. I know she liked it a lot, I think, so I'm curious to see that. Anyway, I don't usually do that, especially not at the end of my Friday Reads video, but there you go. Happy reading. What's going on? Thanks for watching.